So session 6 of Countdown to Christmas, and this last week I've been looking at the way Jesus fulfilled so many of the Old Testament prophecies. And today I'm going to look at a couple that are perhaps a little bit more obscure. They come up in Matthew's version of the birth. We have the story where God warned Joseph to flee to Egypt. And they stayed there until they heard that King Herod had died, and then they returned to Nazareth. Now it reads that they heard that Herod had died, but his son Archelaus was now ruling in Judah, and so they didn't want to go there. They were warned not to. That's why they went up to Galilee and settled in Nazareth. Now we read in Hosea 11:1 this, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." That's referring to the fact that God called the people of the Hebrew people out of Egypt when they were slaves, and he brought them to freedom, to the promised land. They were originally taken down to Egypt and then led out of Egypt. And so here we have Jesus taken down to Egypt and then brought out of Egypt. Okay, it might sound just like a historical fact that that's what had to happen, but I think there's significance in this. The whole of God's people, their history is culminated in Jesus. And as Moses led the Hebrew people to freedom from slavery, Jesus leads people from freedom to slavery to our sinful nature into a new freedom. And as the Passover meal celebrated the act of bringing the people out of Egypt into freedom, Jesus then took that same meal and he changed its meaning into bringing us freedom from the consequence of our sin. Now the second rather obscure reference in Matthew's story comes after the massacre of all the little children. And he includes a quote from Jeremiah 31, which says this, "A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more." Now Rachel was the beloved wife of Jacob, and she died giving birth to her last son, Benjamin. Benjamin then was the ancestor of Jesus. And Rachel had become known as the mother of all Israel. And Rachel's tomb was near Bethlehem and would have been on the road that the exiles were taken. As they were taken captive and led up to Babylon, they would have passed by Rachel's tomb. And so that's the reference of Rachel would be weeping as she saw her children, the people of Israel, taken away. But Jeremiah says, "But weep no more, because the people are coming back. God is going to restore them, and this is going to bring a new life to the people of Israel." Now in the birth of Jesus, there's pain and death and destruction. But out of that time is coming a new life with Jesus. So they're two rather obscure references, but they show us one thing. Because some people over the years have said, oh, well, the story of Jesus' birth has been made to fit around all the Old Testament references. But if that was so, Matthew would have been at pains to explain these references and how they fit. But Matthew was writing to a Jewish audience, and so they would have known these things from their scripture. The fact that they are rather obscure to us means I think that the birth story is the fact, and we are looking at it to see how the Old Testament stories, their prophecies and their history are all fulfilled in the birth of Jesus.
Creation sings a father's song. He calls the sun, wake the dawn, and run the course of day. The evening falls on crimson bay. His fingertips will make some snow. His breath upon the spinning floor. Big shots and eagles fly. The heart's a newborn society